Hello, my name is Jacob Bow, and I'm from Team Lightning Bolts, and I'm here to do a video demonstration for our game. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, game looks like it opens up. Uh, go into the settings. Background music does not stay up at the end here, so this needs fixed. But at least it does turn the volume down. Main menu does not go directly to the main menu for some reason, except for this button. This takes us to the main menu. Uh, One of the features we had is that we wanted to show the controls to the player. Uh, we have a controls button here in the main menu, and it shows the player the controls that they need to use. Uh, credits, credits button works, takes you to the main menu. I mean, not main menu, credits menu. You see all the resources we used here. Our team name is up here as well as our team members. Uh, Return menu buttons down here. It's not consistent with the other buttons. Might hurt the intent with one of the features. Uh, let's get into the game. There are a few errors down here, so that's one issue from previous milestone that has not been fixed. Okay. Uh, let's start with feature number 3. As a player, if I die, I want to restart at the beginning of the level. I have my progress saved so I can go back to where I died much quicker. Uh, this feature has been awarded points and has not been implemented yet. So let's move on to number 4. As a player, I want to see different behaviors from my enemies so I can react appropriately to what they are doing and be more prepared. Let's go check that out. Now, as a magic thing, you can put magic, refill your magic bar up here. And this is one of the enemies. Before we didn't have that little noise, and I'm dead. Before we didn't have that little noise where the enemy saw you, but now we do, as that was part of the features that we need to work on this time. The enemy notices the player and moves towards them. I'm dead. I gotta go back. Oh no. Uh, Game over screen. Continue button. It crashes the game for some reason. Uh, we'll have to fix that. Let's get back into the game real quick. Uh, keep that turned down. Don't know why it blares every single time you open up the game. Let's get back into the game. And, another thing with the enemy behavior is that they should lose the player. So let's check that. And let's get far enough away from the enemy and see what it does. Okay, I think the enemy lost me. Yep, enemy seems to have lost me. That sound shows that I've gotten away. And the behavior with the sword enemy is that the sword is supposed to be repositioned, and the enemy simply charges towards the player with the sword moving back and forth. Unfortunately, it does not. The enemy sword does not pulsate front and backwards. It just goes up and down like it did before. Enemies flash when they take damage, and they poof when they die. That works. Now let's check out this enemy over here. Okay, bow enemy looks like it works okay. It moves towards the player. It stops when it shoots. It shoots when it stops moving. Okay, death animation still works. Let's return to the main menu real quick and go back to the game. And the next feature is that as a QA tester, I want a excuse me. As a QA tester, I want a debug menu to help debug the game and help speed the testing of all levels. Debug testing must be updated to include access to all the features that help speed up testing. From last time, there were three more buttons. Now there's the infinite magic, infinite arrows, and autocomplete puzzles. And we also have the teleport level and reset level buttons that were not added previous milestone, but are added now. We'll test the new buttons first. So, infinite magic button does not work. Infinite arrows, let's see what that does. That does not work either. And let's go up here to where the puzzle is real quick and see what that's like. Kill the enemy first. So for this level, the puzzle is to get this door open. If we press the autocomplete puzzle button, then the door opens. Now we even go to the next level. So this next level, it's dark, but you have to use the lantern to get through. This level is supposed to be an action block level, but this was actually the placeholder level from before. So one of the features we have on here have not been implemented yet, which is the action block level. That's another issue. Going up and over and even through the box. The debug menu button does not work here. That's not what we want. We don't want it to not work. Let me get this finished, and then I can go back to the. I don't think pause menu works. The pause menu doesn't work here. Okay, pushing the box on that pressure plate opens the door. But level completed. Player knows that they can complete this level and move on to a credit scene. Let me go back to the main game real quick. Metric scene, I mean. So the new buttons don't work other than the autocomplete puzzles. Next feature. As a student, I would like to turn in the work that has been completed, but excuse me. As a student, I would. Oh, sorry about that. As a student, I would like to turn in the work that has been completed for the milestone to get feedback and get a perspective from outside the team. A feature list in our task list has been submitted. this video will be submitted, and when we get our project done, we will submit that stuff as well. So we can move on to feature number 7. As a player, I want to go through an action block level that tests various combat interactions in order to see if it is fun to fight against my enemies. An action block level has not been implemented into the game yet, so that doesn't work. There's also another feature where the player goes to an action block level for puzzle interactions. That's not in here as well, so those are not testable. So we can move on to number 8. As a player, I want to find information depots that I can interact with to receive useful information on how I should proceed with my adventure, depending on where I am and what I am doing. This right here is one of those information depots, which is an NPC character. The player should not be able to move around or use any other menus while talking to the NPC. Using the WASD keys don't work. The player cannot open up the debug menu, the pause menu, or the inventory screen, which is what we want. Press E again to leave. There is another information depot over here, which is the signpost. Same thing with the NPC. Player cannot move or open menus. Press E to leave. This works perfectly fine. Next, number 9. As a player, I want an action block level that tests various puzzle interactions in order to see if it is satisfying to solve puzzles and make progress. Same with the action block level with the combat that has not been implemented, so that's not testable. So instead, we'll move on to number 10. As a player, I want a torch that I can use so I can light up dark rooms, places to see where I'm going and what I'm doing, as well as some torches spread across the level that are both lit and unlit. I have not seen any torches here in either the metric scene or the placeholder level, nor does the player have a torch item in the inventory other than this lamp. Excuse me. Again, there are no torches around the level, nor does the player have a torch item other than the lamp, so this feature isn't exactly testable. We can move on to number 10. Not number 10, number 11. As a player, I want to see my enemies flashing when I hit them with a weapon in order to tell for sure if they are taking damage. I was able to demonstrate that earlier. Enemies look like they flash and they take damage and they die once they lose all their health, and when they die. Test it out again on this other enemy. Oh. Well, dang it. Go back to the main menu. Play again. So the enemies flash and they poof out of existence when they die. That works perfectly fine. Number 12. As a player, I want a rod that shoots out fire magic as an alternative to my lantern so I can light up dark areas and deal lots of damage to the enemy. This feature has been awarded points, but has not been implemented, so this is not a testable feature. Number 13. As a player, I want to find a map and a compass in order to know the layout of the level and where the exit is. These features are not in the game, so they are not testable yet. I did not find a map nor a compass while playing through the game at all, nor is there an action to tell me what opens the map menu. So we can move on to number 14. As a player, I want to exhibit new behaviors in order to allow certain parts of the game to make more sense and to allow the game to be more interesting. One of them is that you're supposed to be able to. The player is supposed to stop moving for a moment, have a little animation showing that they are shooting the bow. I cannot see the bow, and the bow is not working properly, so that's not testable. Players should be able to see in the dark at all times, but the field of view should be limited. Uh, Unfortunately, that requires me to press the R button and have the lamp pop up, which is not what we want, especially since the lamp needs to be equipped for it to be usable with the R button. So that's not working. That's all for number 14. Number 15, as a player, I want a magic cane that spawns blocks in front of me in order to help me complete pressure plate based puzzles. No such item is in the game yet, so nor is there any functionality with it, so I cannot test that out. So let's look at some of the issues that we've had previous Milestone and see if any of them have been fixed or not. Okay, issues from feature number 1. As a QA tester, I want to update the metrics level to make sure all the features work exactly the same as they do in the build. Our first issue is a completion criteria, with a functionality issue, which is that metrics showcase will contain examples of player metrics, e.g. character jumps that can be made, contrasted by those that cannot be made, that will be used as guide stones in future levels to assist with game development. Other than seeing the maximum arrows and the maximum magic when touching a potion, I don't really see any other metrics in the game. And the player can attack that far with the sword. Boomerang goes out only a certain distance and then comes back out to the player, but it does go off screen, so it makes it difficult to know for sure what the metrics are for that. And unfortunately, the bow doesn't work, so I can't test the metrics for that. And the lamp should not be visible unless you press the R button while it's equipped, but it doesn't work properly. For feature number 1, we also had 2 restrictions issues, one of which is that world units must be seen by the tester, and all objects conform to these world units. Unfortunately, I cannot see these world units, so I cannot tell if the objects conform to those units, nor can I tell that if objects are placed on partial units or not. So we'll need to adjust that. And we've had a feedback issue where music is supposed to play in this level. The music is playing right now, so that works fine. Let's move on to issues from feature number 2. As a player, I want a main menu to enter and exit the game. We've had 2 feedback issues from this, which was that a sound effect happens when users press a valid button. There was a sound effect for when the user hovered over a button, but there was no effect when players clicked the button, and there was no arrow sound effect for when a player presses on a invalid button. So those don't work still. Let's move on to issues from feature number 3. As a player, I want a pause menu to give users a break and a choice to return to the main menu. For some reason, I have to hit the escape key twice to open up the menu. One issue we had was for functionality, which was that all gameplay pauses while this menu is active. This seems to work fine. Player cannot move at all, nor can the player open any other menus. and we had some feedback issues where a sound effect happens when the users switch buttons or hover over another button. I hear no hover noise, nor do I hear a sound effect when I click on a button, and there is also no invalid button to demonstrate an error sound, so that does not work. Let's move on to issues from feature number 4. As a player, I want a complete game loop to comply with the conventions of most other games. Since the main menu buttons are in a different location, the intent is impacted quite a bit. And we also have a restriction issue where errors are not supposed to pop up in the console window. But as you can see, we have a bunch of errors popping up on the window. So that doesn't work as well. Let's move on to number 5. As a player, I want to move the player avatar around the game to manipulate the avatar directly. I can move around with the WASD keys, although the game is a bit laggy. And we had some restriction issues where the avatar is not supposed to jitter. The avatar can also go through walls, and there was another restriction issue where the player is not supposed to fall out of the world. As you can see, I've just fallen out of the world. Let me go back to the main game real quick. So those restrictions are still there, and they're still affecting the game severely. Feature number 6. As a player, I want to see the avatar in the world to give useful information to the player. We had a partial functionality issue where the camera must focus primarily on the player but allow an appropriate view of the surrounding area to be useful. If we go over to this wall over here, I think there's plenty of space that the player cannot use, but they can still see. Then we have a full functionality issue where the top-down 2D position locking with curved camera motion. Camera is on the player and centered in the middle of the screen, but uses lerping to smoothly follow the player. Camera lerps. So kind of follows the player a little. So that works at least a little bit. But still, there's the issue with being able to see beyond the wall and going through the wall. And I cannot go back in the wall, which is not good. Let me see if I can reset the level real quick. So these two buttons, the teleport player and reset level button, were not included in the debug menu from the previous milestone, but they've been added in this milestone. So we'll see if the reset level works real quick. It does not. It just crashes the game. So that will need fixed. Uh, did I double click on it? Thought I did. Oh, there we go. Uh, have to fix this. We shouldn't have to be doing this every single time. Okay. And then we have a restriction issue with feature number 6, where the camera should not show a large portion of screenscape that will not be used by the player. I demonstrated that the player can see a lot of screen space that can not be used. So that is an extra issue that we'll have to fix. Moving on to number 7. As a player, I would like to play multiple levels to have levels linked to progression. As you could see before, there was a second level, but we had a functionality issue with the level where there was no lose condition, but there was a win condition. One of our restrictions that doesn't work is that all characters, menus, and items must operate the same as the metric scene. As I demonstrated before, the pause menu and the debug menu do not open up at all. So that is still an issue. And we had a feedback issue where the user should be made aware they won the level and is advanced to the next seed. When I won the level before, there was no message popping up saying that the level was completed and just immediately took you to the next level. So that is still an issue. Moving on to number 8. As a player, I would like options menu to help control the sound levels of placeholder sound assets. There is a settings menu in the main menu, as well as here in the pause menu. So, and we have a restrictions issue, which is that users should not need to go to the options menu and the main menu and the pause menu to change the levels back to the levels the user last set the sliders. Pause menu, the background music slider does not work, and I don't believe the SFX volume works either. Let me test that out. No, it does not. So that's still an issue that we have to fix. Let me go back to the main menu real quick to see if those settings do anything. Oh, wrong button. Main menu. Let's go to the settings. Background music. Okay, this slider works for background music. And I think this slider works. Let me demonstrate that real quick. Yeah, you can notice that the sword sound effect is quieter. Unfortunately, the magic does not work. The magic sound effect does not go down. Okay, we have a couple feedback issues where the user will know the level of the background music when they move the slider, which is not the case for the metric scene. And the user will know the level of the sound effects when they finish moving the slider. Unfortunately, both the background music and the SFX sliders only affect the metric scene. I mean, you have to set them in the main menu to get them to do anything. So those don't work and need fixed. Moving on to number 9, as a QA tester, I want a debug menu to help debug the game to help speed up testing of all levels. Let me go turn the volume down real quick. Okay. Go back to the game. Debug menu. An issue that we had before was that the teleport player and reset level buttons were not in there, so the intent was impacted severely. But now the teleport level and reset level buttons are now in the game. Unfortunately, resetting the level crashes the game, so we'll see how teleporting the player works. Teleporting the player takes you to a separate screen where you select where you want to go. Let's go to level end. That works. And teleport player. Level start. That works. And there was a button that returns you to the debug menu. Check that out real quick. If that works. So the teleport player button works, but unfortunately the reset level button does not work. Feature number 10, as a student I would like to turn in work that has been completed for the milestone to get feedback and get a perspective from outside the team. We had a requirement issue where we were supposed to submit the first pass of the feature list when you turn in this milestone. We failed to do that before, but we were able to do it this time. Since there's no level, excuse me. Since there was no feature 11, for some reason it just skips to 12. So we'll talk about that. As a player, I want to be able to attack enemies with a melee weapon to defend myself. We had a full functionality issue where the player is supposed to attack in a cone. As I demonstrated, the sword just goes straight out and doesn't really move in an animation. And also, the player just stays in place. He's supposed to go forward, but he does not. We also have partial functionality. We have partial issues with the firing a beam from the sword, which actually does not happen at all, especially on this build right here. Player is supposed to be at full health. He is, but it doesn't work, and the beam is not seen being fired. And the user is also supposed to be able to use a spin attack, which doesn't happen. There's no there. The player does not do a spin attack, nor is there any visual tell to let the player know of that. That was both partial functionality, partial restriction, and that was a full feedback issue, especially with all the spin attack stuff. Uh, Number 13, as a player, I want to be able to block enemy attacks with the shield in order to prevent myself from taking damage. We had a functionality issue where the player is supposed to block incoming attacks by simply facing towards them. This is unfortunately not the case. Player has to press the B button and hold the B button in order to not take any damage. Let me kill this guy real quick. There we go. Got him. Let me test this shield out with the bow enemy. The shield protects myself from the bow enemy, but once again I have to actually press the B button instead of just face it. So that's an issue that still needs fixed. We also had a feedback issue where a sound effect will play when an attack hits the shield. That does not happen at all, so that needs fixed. We had another functionality issue where the shield is supposed to be upgradable. There are no shield upgrades, nor are there any better shield designs to prove this, so this is not working. We also had some restrictions and another feedback issue regarding unblockable attacks. In the game, there are no unblockable attacks right now. We did not implement unblockable attacks, so the player cannot take damage trying to block these types of attacks. Nor is there any functionality to go along with it. Next, number 14, as a player, I want to be able to solve various puzzles to progress in the level. We have one puzzle included, which was to push suspicious objects, but we have we have it to where you have to push an object onto a pressure plate. So let me demonstrate that real quick. This is not actually what we want. Let me, the lag. Uh, yeah. Also, I kind of bounced off the box, which is not what we want. And I go through the box, which was also not what we want. Can't position myself right. Uh, um, oh, come on. Uh, push it. No, not go through it. Okay. Now position yourself and go up. No, not that. Uh, tempted to just move on, but I gotta demonstrate this. Okay. Now, careful. No, not that. Okay. Push the box. No, not that. Actually, push it to the. Uh, push it to the left some. Go up. Go up some more. Make sure I take this nice and easy so I don't clip through the box. Uh, nice and easy. Nice and easy. There we go. No. Uh, this this is actually very annoying. I'm very sorry for this. I can do this. Just gotta take it nice and easy. Uh, nice and easy. I'm almost there. Uh, actually, I gotta push it up a little. Yeah, I gotta push it up a little. Push it up some more. No, more. Okay, should be good. Now I gotta push it. Yeah, just gotta push it left. Uh, gosh darn it. Okay, I should be centered now. Actually, I think I need to go up even more. Uh, yeah, push it up some more. Push it up. Yep, there we go. Finally. I'm very sorry I had to sit through that. Uh, we have a few functionality issues where we're supposed to have it to where the player simply walks onto a button and activates something, or use the E key to press to activate buttons and stuff. But that's not in the game. The only puzzle we actually have in the game is the pressure plate, as I've said. We're supposed to have torches and eye switches for using the inventory items, but those aren't in the game and they're not testable, which means we do not fulfill the restriction issue, especially with the box. You're only supposed to be able to push the box one direction for a short distance, and then something's supposed to happen. And the feedback, we only have feedback for that block and not for anything else. So this feature still needs to be fixed quite a lot. So moving on to number 15, as a player, I want to pick up different items to help me complete more puzzles. I'm supposed to be able to pick up pots with the E key, but it doesn't look like I can. Yet I'm somehow able to throw them with the C key, even though they go just random directions. Another issue is that you can simply press E and C pretty much wherever you want, so that is not how we want it to work at all. Uh, Also supposed to have a lamp that you can pick up. That is not in the game. It's actually supposed to be the one in the inventory. And for some reason, I can't actually select anything. I don't know why that's happening. Throwing the boomerang works. I'm supposed to be able to navigate through this with the WASD keys, but now it's not working for some reason. Functionality issues. We had some restriction issues with this feature, which was that once a pot is thrown, it will break even if it does not hit an enemy. It does that, but it just goes random directions. And the magic lamp is the lamp in the inventory. It's not supposed to be a pickup, but for some reason I cannot select it, so that does not work the way it needs to. So the intent for the number 15 has been severely missed. Number 16, as a player, I want a bow weapon to attack from a distance so that I can deal damage to the enemy without being seen. There is a bow item, but for some odd reason, I just cannot equip it right now. Actually, let me go back to the main menu to see if that changes. Now I can select the items. Okay. I actually cannot shoot the bow, even though it's equipped, and I actually don't see the bow, and I'm supposed to be able to see it. But using the bow does not absolutely nothing. Which is one of our feedback functionality issues. Another functionality issue is that a projectile is supposed to be fired and is supposed to hurt an enemy. Unfortunately, you can't see that. Partial functionality, this weapon can be equipped from the inventory. You can see up here, up the upper left corner, you can see that the arrow is equipped, but it's not doing anything, as I've said before. Excuse me. And as such, our feedback issues have not been fixed. So we'll just have to move on to number 17. As a player, I would like different enemies fighting to stop me from completing my tasks. We do have a sword wielding enemy, which was one of our partial functionality issues. Uh, it charges towards the player and attacks when it's in range. Uh, there is a sound effect when the enemy notices a player and it moves towards the player. There is supposed to be a blue bow range bow. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for this. Uh, there is a bow wielding ranged enemy, and he's colored blue as intended. Uh, the arrows can be blocked with the shield, and getting hit by the arrows do hurt. Let me see if the continue button works. The continue button works. That's good. So that was the enemies. Number 18, as a player, I want an inventory that I can access to equip any usable items that I collect. We had a functionality issue where on user input, a small window will pop up allowing the player to select which item they want to equip. That happens. You can open up the window and use the A and D keys to scroll through the inventory, and when you close the inventory, the item that's selected will be equipped. There was a sound effect when opening the inventory and when closing the inventory. And there's barely a sound effect when selecting over the item. So that's the inventory. Number 19. As a player, I would like a health system so I can see how much health I have left before I lose the game. At the start of the game, player has 3 hearts. Unfortunately, one of our functionality issues was that we were supposed to have a way to increase the maximum health, which we do not. Uh, additional recovery hearts can be. I'm sorry. Additional recovery hearts can be found throughout the game via pots, grass, treasure, etc. There are a couple pots up here. We'll take damage from this enemy, and there's pots up here. We can demonstrate that. You can use the sword to break the pots. Pick up a recovery heart, and we got our heart back. Uh, uh, Unfortunately, we also have another functionality issue where the player is supposed to be able to lose a half a heart, which is not the case. The player loses a full heart and gains a full heart. There are no half hearts to demonstrate any of this kind of functionality. So this is an issue that will need to be fixed. And there was no sound effect when the player picks up the recovery heart, and there was no half heart to demonstrate losing partial health. So that's the health system. Number 20, as a player, I want to have a boomerang item in order to do various things from a range. For some reason, now I can select items again. So this is our boomerang. You can throw it with the R key, and now the enemy's not working. Throwing the boomerang at an enemy doesn't really do anything, and the enemy's not really doing anything for some reason. Let me reset the level again. Hope it doesn't crash. It did nothing. Oh, that's weird. Let me go back to the main menu and back in real quick. Actually, let me go back and turn some of the volume up. Okay, I think that should be good. Let's try and see if the boomerang does anything. There's an issue that we found where if you move after you throw in the boomerang doesn't actually come back to you. So that is a issue. Also, you can also see the boomerang over here, and you're not supposed to. No. The only thing that the boomerang actually does, you can just throw it and it comes back to you. Unfortunately, none of the functionality issues that we've had with it has been fixed. Boomerang cannot stun enemies, cannot pick up collectibles and bring it back to you, and it cannot activate switches yet. So this is a feature that absolutely needs fixed. Number 21. As a player, I want a magic system to see how much magic power I have left before I can't use certain items. Let me equip the lamp real quick because that requires magic. Okay. There was a magic pickup there that you touch to refill your magic bar, which is the screen bar. Pressing the R button with the lamp equipped uses the lamp. And as you can see, that used up all my magic. And pressing the R button with the lantern with no magic, the lamp does not appear. That works as intended. The magic is green, and as it empties, it's supposed to show black. That works as intended. We also have another functionality issue where we were supposed to find magic pickups. That was a magic pickup right there, but that was only one magic pickup, and that was supposed to be the large magic pickup, which restores all of your magic. There was no small magic pickup here in the metric scene, but I believe there are some in the placeholder level. Let me go through that real quick. Let me just get rid of all of this so I can just go there instantly. Lantern's not supposed to work here in the lantern does not exactly work as intended in the not metric scene, the placeholder scene. And once again, pause menu doesn't work, so I have to do this all manually. I'm very sorry for this, but at least it's a bit easier to manage this than the one on the metric scene. And I can also hear the metrics level music along with the music from this level, which is not what we want. I don't know what this is up here. Oh, where did I go? Oh, there I am. I'm very sorry about that. I did not expect that to happen at all. Let me push this on here and complete the level. Return to the main menu real quick. Yeah, so there's no small magic pickup here in the metric scene, but there is a big magic pickup, and it's supposed to restore all of your magic. Uh, and the lamp uses the magic power as intended. So that works. And I think finally, number 22. As a player, I want to find various pickups throughout the game in order to replenish any health, magic, and/or ammo. Uh, Unfortunately, I cannot demonstrate the arrow pickup because the bow and arrow does not want to work. But I can demonstrate that you're supposed to collide. Actually, you're supposed to collide with the bow and arrow, but it's supposed to disappear, and unfortunately, it does not for some reason. I already demonstrated the magic pickup. That's supposed to do what it did. The arrow is supposed to have a sound effect that plays, and it's supposed to disappear. I demonstrated the heart pickup. The heart pickup restores one heart, but it does not restore. But there's no half heart to demonstrate that it restores. Uh, that it fully restores one container and partially refills another container, so that will need to be fixed. And the sound effect does not play when touching the heart pickup. So I believe the intent has been not fulfilled. And I believe that is all of the features for this game, and I believe that is the end of our demonstration. Uh, uh, Thank you for watching.